Welcome to the podcast Studio Stain, Inspiring Leadership. I learned in my life the importance of being inspired by others and to be surrounded by people who bring you new insights and perspectives. That is the way to grow as a leader and human being in challenging and changing times. In these podcast series, I bring you the latest innovations on personal development and leadership told from business managers, CEOs, spiritual leaders, and people who live their true story. Welcome to the podcast Studio Stain, Inspiring Leadership. I am your host, Steen Stas, executive coach and addicted podcaster, and today my guest is Søren Bregendal from Copenhagen, Denmark. Welcome to the studio, Søren. So happy to see you.
Very pleased to see you, Stein. It's a pleasure.
So now, where to begin to introduce Søren? We met at a party this spring, Søren, at Christian Shimani's house for his 50th birthday. And I was immediately impressed by your vibrant radiance and light that you just spread over the room. And we had a beautiful conversation at that moment.
Yeah.
And so we exchanged numbers. And so, yeah, now we are here in the studio. So really happy to have you here.
Yeah, me too.
And let me first share with the listener a little bit about you, Søren, because your credentials are truly impressive. And Søren has many passions. From early ages, he has been working in the entertainment industry as a singer-songwriter and actor, where he got national and international acknowledgement by winning many prizes and awards for his performances in more than 11 movies, TV shows, and his two bands, C21 and Lighthouse X, that represented Denmark at the Eurovision contest. And I couldn't be more proud to talk to somebody who was at the Eurovision contest.
It was fun. It was fun, yeah.
I can imagine. It is always fun. That was in 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
In
Stockholm. Yeah.
So, and now he has been working as a senior consultant and a project leader in different organizations and NGO. He was the creative director of the Danish Heart Foundation and Lighthouse X. And nowadays he works for Lucia Care as a senior consultant. And, which I found always intriguing, he is also a trained astrologist.
Yeah.
So maybe we can share also a little bit about that later, Søren.
Yeah.
I think for all the leaders, because we have many leaders and managers in the podcast, he has also a degree in leadership and management and is a certified business coach. And I have not mentioned half of your curriculum by this. I was truly impressed. When I was looking over your CV and your LinkedIn profile, I said, how long will this introduction be, you know? But okay, we're almost finished. What I found very interesting is when you mention what is central in your work, and that is about creating purpose to make impact, value-driven innovation, creative leadership, and your deep interest for personal development. Yeah. And so these are the topics that we will dive into for this podcast. And really, I hope for the listener, let inspire yourself by the story and all the insights of Søren, and let it become an inspiration for you to become a better leader and human being, because you have a lot to tell, Søren. Well, let's start at your early ages.
Thank you, Stein, for the beautiful introduction. Yeah, I'm humbled.
Are you still able to speak, Søren?
Yeah. Yeah, almost. But yeah, I'm ready.
And thank you for making time, because you have picked up your singing career again, and now you're doing the summer full of music, isn't it?
Yeah, we're touring. My first band, C21, which I formed, a boy band, of course, very important to mention, a boy band. I formed that when I was 15 years old, together with the two other guys. And we got quite a lot of success, not just here in Denmark, but we were released in 14 countries and got to tour many of them. And now we ended the project when I was 21, something like that. And we took a break for about 17 years. And now we're back. We had a comeback last year and we're out touring again. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I think more than ever, music, the arts, are so important to the divide and the polarization, I think, that's going on everywhere in the world right now. And it's not to make myself some kind of savior in any way, but every one of us who can provide some kind of artistic bridging for people, bring people together, in a very democratic way. I think music has this democratic way of getting people together from every walks of life. And we see that at our concerts every time. I think it's so beautiful. And I think it's so important that we support the arts and music and movies and all these things because they actually makes us come together and join in a unity and a community that's in many ways extremely simple and heart-centered. So yeah.
So what was the urge or the reason to have a comeback after so many years?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it nostalgia or was it an other thing that you
Yeah.
wanted to bring or what was
Yeah.
it?
Nostalgia is of course a part of it because I think every one of us have we all have memories that we cherish, and we have when we look back, especially when it's in the formative years, which C21 was because it was in the teen years for us. It really was formative for us as human beings to create a band, get success, go out in the real world, and actually create a business as well in a very young age. So it meant it has been the foundation in many ways moving ahead for me. So yeah, there's a lot of power in reconnecting with that source of energy and that creative spark that we had back then. But it's more than that. It's never enough just to kind of celebrate the past to me without moving forward. How can the
Yeah.
past fuel our present and our future? What can we bring from the past into the present and future that actually makes our being right now even more potent and even more powerful? So that's we are creating and writing new music. We just released a whole new EP. We are starting to release the second EP here in the 23rd of August. So it's very much about being creative in the now
Yeah.
for us. Yeah. And
Is
it's yeah.
what is different from the music or from the person that you were then and that you are now?
I think the main difference is that actually have had 20 years more of life experience. So when you're 15, 16 year old and you write about love and partnerships and all that, in a way it's a bit more theoretical than it's actually something you know about. Today when we write songs about life, it's even deeper rooted in our own experiences and our own scars and the tears that we've cried and the smiles and the laugh that we've had. So it just informs the songs with even more calories, if you like.
Yeah.
But the creative thing here, the creative kind of dogma is that we're very much protecting the boy band genre and the way
Yeah.
we don't want to become something else than we started out being. We are not a jazz band or a rock band. We are a boy band. So
Yeah.
how to get that kind of sound, 2002, 3 soundscape into 2024 is a very interesting creative
Yeah.
process.
Is there, if you would pick out one song now that is truly personal for you and that you say, every time I sing this song,
Mm.
my heart is a bit shaking.
Yeah,
What song is it and what is it about?
well, great question. Thank you for asking that. If I am supposed to pick one of my own new songs,
Yeah.
it would be a song from our latest EP. It's called "Quit the Show." Quit the
Okay.
show, and the "Quit the Show," the song, the lyric is very much about actually a conversation within myself about a person I no longer recognize. You know, that part of me that has been important in ways and good for me, a personality that has helped me move forward. But all of a sudden, that 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 part of my process doesn't feel right anymore. It doesn't feel lively. It doesn't feel purposeful. And then you need to kind of break up with yourself.
Mm.
You need to kind of part with that entity in you, and that can be because
What entity was it that you wanted to let go?
yeah, I think it was very much about when you've I got my career kicked off very young, and I was privileged enough to get a platform and a scene, and people started to know me in Denmark and other countries and all that. And that kind of performance-oriented career and personality, where you are the product, where you are constantly trying to obtain the level of attention from the public and the
Mm.
audience and all that. That's fun, but it's also very draining, and it can be very self-centered. It can be
Okay.
very eco-centric. And I think, it was about the song is about saying thank you for all the hard work that was in that person,
Yeah.
but also trying to heal some of the wounds and the scars that comes from walking a little bit too far away from the center of yourself to make a
Mm.
success in the world.
Yeah.
So the effort and the discipline that you have to have in the way we think success in our common time is extremely draining and
Yeah.
stressful, actually. So I have to kind of thank that part of me and say, honor it, honor it. It's not shame and guilt and all that. It's honor it, but also say, well, I need to move on from that.
Yeah.
I need to find another platform for myself.
Yeah. What,
That yeah.
if I may, what was the reason that you stopped in your first career?
I guess it was because there was no drama. It was all love. It was
Mm.
curiosity about life. We wanted to move on
Yeah.
and do new stuff and other projects. We've been going on for six years, something like that, in a very young age. So that felt like a lifetime back then. So it was basically because I'm very curious. I love to engage in new
Mm.
adventures. So that was it, basically. Yeah.
If you talk about the scars that it brought you,
Mm.
um, and also the joy of just making music and having the attention and um, what were these scars and how did you overcome them?
Well,
If you want to share.
yeah, I would love to. The backstory is that from when I was 6 years old, around 6 years old, I was in first grade. I think that's the
Mm.
word. Um, at a Steiner school, actually, an anthroposophical school,
Mm.
and I was kicked out of that school, and that started a whole
Wow. At
path.
6,
At 6 years old, yeah.
usually children get kicked out when they do in their puberty.
Yeah, I started
Oh,
early.
okay, at 6. Okay.
I kicked it off early.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what
because
happened?
yeah, I think what happened was and all love and all respect for the people back then. Everybody did what they thought was right
Mm.
and true. But I think for me, from my perspective, I experienced a school that was based on these values about freedom and the child being free to do and go with whatever impulse.
Mm.
And that's a beautiful thought. I like that. But it needs to go hand in hand with structure. Otherwise,
Mm.
it's only chaos. If there's
Yeah.
no order, and there was no order, it was basically more a chaotic
Yeah.
environment. And I reacted very very, very strongly to that, and made a lot of troubles for the teachers, and became a problem.
Mm.
And then they kind of kind of concluded that, Søren, we don't think you are supposed to be part of this journey moving forward. And I remember I got the message 1 week before I thought I was going to meet all my friends after summer break.
Yeah.
So and then 1 week after that, I stood in front of a door at a total new school, and I went from a classroom with 11 pupils to 28 pupils,
Mm.
young kids that I didn't know. It was kind of a shock to me. And that shock started a whole cycle of anxiety and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So I fought these inner demons actually from age 6, 7 up until 19, 20 years old. So back to the question, what was the scars? The scars,
Mm.
some of the scars was the fight to not be limited by the burden of the anxiety and the OCD, my struggle to actually fulfill my sole purpose. I know that sounds a bit large, but that's how I feel it and sense it. My call in this life was to go out and be on the stage
Mm.
and bring these things into the world. But it was polluted in a way by anxiety and OCD
Mm.
that tried to tell me not to do it.
Yeah.
That tried to force me
Yeah.
to not fulfill, because maybe in a little, because when I was myself at 6 years old, I met a society of grown-ups telling me that I was a problem. I was a
Mm.
menace. So acting on my true natural impulse had become toxic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Is it?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Because as a child, you have your inner, you just play, just do automatically what you do. But it's you're in line with nature and what's life really is about. You have no limitations yet by society. And when you have that kind of a big limitation as you have had at 6,
Yeah.
I can imagine it's really it really has a great impact on the development, on your personal development.
Yeah, and I think a very important point here
Yeah.
is it was supposed to happen in a way. I
Mm.
was supposed to get that kind of
Yeah,
crisis early on in my life.
yeah,
I think it was all a part of my
yeah.
maturing and my ability to stand up strong,
Yeah.
facing these demons.
Mm.
And I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about my own inner
Yeah,
demons. And 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 that's a very important point as well, when you get the right support, when you're not just alone
mm.
in that fight. And I had two loving parents. I I very quickly got to see a psychiatrist, which was kind of a how do you say that? A kind of not a thing that was normal back when I was 6 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a little bit exotic to
Mm.
go that route, because my mom she's a trained family therapist, so she had this view of
Yeah,
life and understood how important that part of life is. So I got the help I needed in many ways to deal with this, and because of that, I grew. It was a
yeah,
growth phase, even though it was a very long growth. As I said, it was actually up until 19, 20 years old. It was a long, long path. But without it, I wouldn't have the stamina and the resilience I
yeah.
have today.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Søren, because I think, well, all of us, when we start life, we face at a certain moment some crises, small or little, and
Yeah.
I think the way, and especially the help that you got from your parents, and how you can get out of these limitations and of what happened to you, and that you can grow as a person. Often we just accept what happened and we live with it. And you sharing this story is a great example of how you can overcome your belief that what has happened to you has made you who you are, and you cannot change it anymore.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think one of the main factors was both the psychiatrist I met, but also my parents, especially my mom, a very wise woman. She never victimized me.
Yeah.
She never made a victim story out of the fact that I was struggling. And I think that's so important that instead of victimizing a child who struggles, look at that child's story and see, okay, something is about to this child is about to give birth to something that's very important.
Yeah.
We need to encourage that child in taking on the fight, taking on the struggle, not hampering, not kind of pulling the child away from the fire. No, get into the fire, my son. Get into the fire and learn the responsibility that you're about to take on. Because very often, I think the crisis is there to mature us to take on even more creativity and responsibility in life, because we can shine even more light out in the world. It's not about the other way, kind of hiding away from the true world and true life. So the non-victimization attitude was extremely helpful.
Is that what you mentioned, that it was a process to learn how to really live my purpose at life and to get on that stage? Have you felt that from early ages, that this was something that you really needed to do to express this the artistic child in you? Was it that, have you always felt that?
Yeah, and I think I speak for many people here. It's not just my experience, but as a child, I had very clear images about what was life, what did life have for me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a vision. And to give you a very concrete image of it, when I walked my dog every day, and we had these beautiful fields of wheat and stuff just next to the door, next to our house, and I walked on these fields, and I imagined that was my audience. I talked to my audience. I sang to it. I danced for it. I gave speeches, all these things. And I was very young. It was like 7, 8, 9, 10, from that age, actually. So I had this sense I'm going to be out on some kind of stage and platform. And obviously I didn't have a plan to do that at all when I was that young, but I had the spark in my heart. And I think that's a very important point as well. If we allow ourselves to be true and listen loud to that spark in our hearts as children, but also very important as adults as well, and to give in to that spark and actually really take it seriously, we will be shown what life wants us to do in a very clear, in a very simple way. But sometimes that simple picture or image is contradicting the life and the ideas of how to structure your career and all that. It contradicts what you've been taught and what you've been trained to do. But if we can actually take that spark and that image that's in our heart serious, we have a plan. We have a road, a royal road to our soul's longing to express itself.
Now, well, thank you for sharing that. Some people might say that are a little bit older. Well, Søren, you had your moments. You started very early with all of this. You saw it very clearly, and then you started at 2021. But many people would say, I'm 40, I'm 50, and what about my spark? My life is half over. What would you advise them?
Mm. Ah,
And still have these things, memories, crises that are still influencing their life today.
yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think there's any excuse uh, or
Yeah.
there's no excuse not being age, being resources of some kind.
Mm.
No, because it's all about an inner intention first and foremost.
Yeah.
And so before anything else, listen to that spark,
Mm.
interact with it, dialogue with it. That information is worth nothing. It's just an idea if you don't interact, if you don't
Mm.
dialogue with it. Write, if that's the way you can manifest more of what that spark is about. Write letters to yourself, paint pictures about it, make a playlist of songs that you feel mirror it. Build momentum from within and grab the tools you have just around you. It's not about climbing a mountain and crazy extreme stuff. It all starts within yourself. And then a very good way of dealing with the idea that it's too late or it's whatever. When you have that spark and you recognize it and you have dialogued with it and you've interacted with it, and you feel the truth of that spark. Sit down and then write all the things that stand in the way of making that a possibility, a manifested possibility. And when you've written all these things down, and it could be a long list and it could be a short list, whatever, then you have your plan. Then you have your project plan. Start getting rid of 1 point at a time. Get rid of the things that stand in your way. It makes it extremely concrete. And for each time you clear the road a little bit more, that spark, that energy will have that more nourishment, that more power to make you move forward. So it's one step at a time, I guess.
The thought that comes up, and maybe it's not a pretty thought. It's like, no, it's a good thought, I think. Like, oh, you make it sound so easy,
Yeah. But it is.
Well, and then it's my voice. What it is, what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And then I want to add, because
Yeah.
one of the things that I've been blessed with is a natural way of reaching out to people, mentors, coaches, teachers, trainers. I've always been extremely inspired by people who can do things I can't do, things that they have managed to excel in and be good at. So, and it's helped me tremendously to think in a vertical way, understand that there are people ahead of us that are actually there to be our lighthouses and who would love to give us some of their knowledge and wisdom to help us thrive. And I think that's a very important part of that process of making the spark become a big, great fire in your life. Ask for help, ask for guidance, ask mentors and coaches to guide you. You're not alone on this road. You have to take the steps yourself. We all have to do that. That's the part of the human condition. No one can do it for us, but we can support each other in so many ways. So reach out and do it now. Don't do it later.
You know what I liked? The suggestion that you made of making a list as you feel in the spark, and then making a list of what your limitations are or what it is that
Stands in the way.
that you believe that it is not possible.
Yeah.
If you look back, because it's and this is a continuous process that we need to do, because if you look back, do you have any what was, for example, your biggest regret is maybe not the right word, or the thing that you're the least proud of, that you said that was something that really held me back at a certain moment in my life, and that I said,
Yeah.
Is there something that you want to share? One of these things that really said, okay, now it's enough, I quit, or all these thoughts that we get
I
when
think
we
it's
do.
a very
Yeah.
good question. Yeah. When you ask it, something pops up right away.
Yeah.
And um, I guess people who listen to this maybe get a sense that I'm pretty good at saying yes to stuff and being adventurous in a way,
Mm,
but I'm also very analytical. And if we talk a little bit of astrology, I'm double Virgo, which is a very perfectionist sign. And that's there's a big risk in that, in a sense, because I can overanalyze situations and opportunities and kind of
mm,
kind of look for all the flaws and all the possible risks and whatever, which will pollute and toxify my basic gut feeling of saying yes or no.
mm,
So what I when I look back in my life, uh, there were times where I was where the universe and life itself gave me opportunities to grow and thrive and go out on an adventure where I basically I really felt the longing for it and the true yes, but my mind took over and analyzed the situation to a degree that it totally fucked up the whole momentum and the
okay.
possibility that was handed to me. So I've said no to opportunities that because of my mind, not my heart.
Mm,
And
yeah,
growing older, I've really been very aware of that factor in myself, knowing that
yeah,
my mind and the mind always wants to be safe. It
yeah.
likes things that it knows already. It likes to be, mirrored in a way that it feels like it can handle it. And basically, Krishnamurti said freedom from the known. That's the
Mm,
highest intelligence that we can obtain in a way. And and our mind wants to be in the zone of the known.
mm,
Our heart is in the zone of constant possibility and
yeah.
adventure. So bridging those two has been a thing for me, um, and it's still a thing. I think I'm in a place now where I really, really trust that even though my mind has these, uh, you know, uh, voices, don't do this, it's whatever, all these things. But I
Mm,
feel it in my gut and I feel it in my heart. I really go with it, and I have a sense
yeah.
of trust in the process.
What what is your practice to go back to your heart? My book will be about heartful leadership. So I'm really interested
Yeah,
when you notice that you're when you're over analytical
yeah,
analyzing things
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you need to go to your heart. What do you do?
To me, it's my body.
Mm,
It's grounding. It's
mm,
well, I meditate twice a day. I'm I think it's 4 years ago, something like that. I started transcendental meditation, and I do that
mhm.
twice every morning and night. I
That's
do,
2 times 20 minutes with a mantra, just for
yeah,
the listeners to
yes,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. And I do my yoga. I go, ocean swimming almost every day. If not every day, every second day, I have to take time in the forest, like nature
Mm,
bathing. Very much about moving from my head into my body and my cells and activating the intelligence that's in our body. The
mm,
messages for us there are so precise and so intelligent, and it can inform our decisions and our way forward in ways that our minds cannot do.
mm.
So that the body is so important for me to pay attention to. And I've been living plant-based, started my plant-based journey back in 2006, I think. For 12 years, I've been living vegan. I don't drink alcohol. For 12 years, I haven't been drinking alcohol. All these things, I'm not saying this to kind of say, wow, look at me, how clean I am. It's not that. It's more like that's how I feel. I honor my body's intelligence in the best possible manner. And I feel the effect of it. I feel how quickly and how intuitive my body is when I give it the best possible building blocks. Yeah. And it helps me ground and level out the mind that constantly wants to go in another direction.
Is this what for you, if would talk about authenticity, is this what you would call authenticity, to have your mind, your body all integrated so you can feel this, what you're supposed to do or what you're about to do? Is this for you authenticity?
Absolutely. I think authenticity is about the alignment of heart and mind, and soul, spirit. I think the holistic approach is authenticity. We cannot, the reductionistic way of living is so full of conflict.
Can you explain, just for the listeners, what do you mean?
With the reduction, when you only focus on one part of the whole, mind or the body or career, and not personal life, only mental analysis, what do you call it? Analysis? I can't remember the word, but only the mental sphere and not feelings. All these things, constantly reducing things into parts of a whole. I think authenticity is so much about a holistic approach to life, and the intelligence that occur when we understand that all the parts interact and inform each other. And our job is, as a conductor, as an artist, is to look at that masterpiece and get all these instruments to play together as a symphony. That's why we have the mind with a capital M, to be able to see the whole, and not the lower mind that constantly gets lost in details.
You spoke about your personal purpose for being on stage and expressing yourself as an artist. When we speak about this, seeing the whole, what does that mean for you? What do you think that the whole Earth, universe, whatever, the whole, what is that for you? And what is the meaning of it?
Yeah. To me, I think it's a constant. I think we all, in a way, struggle with finding words to describe it, because it's not a thing you can describe in words. It's not. You cannot externalize it in that way. But to me, it's very much about an inner experience of being totally connected with the birds in the sky, with the grass growing, with the wind, with the ocean, the waves, with my heartbeat, the sound of my breath. It's such a totality of senses and experiences and inputs and information. And within all that, there's a center, there's a source, there's a place from where we can watch it all, we can observe it all. And that's an inner experience. It's an inner state of consciousness. We need to go to the poets. We need to go to the great writers and musicians and you know, to get a closer look at it from outside in. And that's what I think the arts are. I think it's a mirroring of when arts are when we play music, when we do great movies, when we write beautiful poems, all these things, we are approaching that wholeness, that totality, and trying to you know, I think that's, to me, my experience is that that's the best way we can describe it. It's through the arts.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Which is why, maybe a point in that, which is why it is such a paramount of paramount importance that we keep on being playful and artistic in our lives. And that can have 1,000 different ways of expressing itself. It doesn't have to be music or painting. It can be in many ways. But really pay attention to your inner child longing to play, be playful, because when we do that, we are approaching the wholeness. We are getting glimpse of that totality. Yeah.
And that is what we lose so quickly when we grow up, don't we?
Yes. It's really I really think right now there's a fight going on about ensuring that inner child survives, because it becomes, you know. And and again, that's what when I'm out playing music, doing concerts with my band C21, I get to see, you know, when the audience is in front of us and they are dancing and they're singing along and they're smiling and they're having fun, they're letting their inner child loose. It's as simple as that. And you can just smell it. You can see it in the air. There's just this dense light and fulfillment and, you know, satisfaction. And why is it we only do that at festivals or concerts? Why do we go to work and then it's not there for 8 hours? You know, we need to figure out and find ways in an intelligent way to get that playfulness in every part of life.
And and to add to that, I think it is possible when you're very mindful of what you're doing, because you can find this moment just looking by what I always do. And in the morning when I go out, there's always this little pigeon sitting on the roof here and in the apple trees, and just, you know, hello, good morning, you're here again, you know. I find it always so funny when I see the birds in the trees. It's almost like I recognize them, you know, and then it's like, you know, they're here for me, you know, just play the game and sing a little song for me. And it is, we often think that we need huge, big things for this to experience this inner joy. But I think it is of utter and most importance to see it in the little things like you described earlier, in the grass, in the, you know, sometimes when I live on the countryside, when I go out and there's this small this breeze, and then you see the grass and the trees, and sometimes I have the feeling, you know, they're just waving. Everything is saying hello to you, you know. It's like, and it's so funny because when you start to look at it, it's like, you know, it's just saying hello, like in the concert when you have your arms up.
Definitely agree. What happens when we play and when we go out in life, when we answer the call for adventure, which is the hero's journey, you know, to go out on an adventure, to embrace the larger realms, to discover that. We find out, that's my experience, that when we have a limited worldview, the problems we have grow larger. They become very big because our perspective is small.
Yeah.
But if we rise, if we heighten that perspective and we go out and experience how the more and more of the totality, if you like, the whole, the problems we had before seems like nothing. They kind of, wow, that's not a problem. That's not an obstacle. It's just a little cloud floating, in front of the sun. It will pass.
Yeah.
We see things in a much more light and it's not so filled with struggle and strife and limitation and all that. We get when we widen our world perspective and our world view through playfulness, through adventure, through the courage to actually go out in the world and experience new things. We see that, as you just said, that everything in a way waves at us, says hello, invites us to become even more playful, even more intelligent, even more creative. And so, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it encourages us, and thank you for sharing it, because we need to often to be encouraged to put our minds open, to keep our minds open, because we live in a world where we have the media and everything, which brings our focus back on this little screen every day that we have in front of us. And so having the intention of keeping the mind open and keeping the perspective open of with a playful way is so important.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why I actually don't have a TV and I don't subscribe to all these normal media platforms. I once did, as anyone else, and I stopped doing that, and I experienced how draining it is to be constantly, thrown into that very limited, controlled, manipulated way of understanding and viewing life. And so a good way to start is to kind of turn off all those sources of
Absolutely.
trying to keep your mind very focused on a single thing or a single story, and get rid of that and start writing your own. Write your own story. Answer the call for adventure, and that's not sitting in your living room or looking at news. It's about going out into the world, and I think that's a very, very deep-rooted truth, also spiritually, that we are here to manifest and give body to spirit, to the light, to the universe source, in a way. And we do that by actually being engaged in life, in relations, in creativity, in giving oxygen to our spark in the heart. And when we feel, it's a very good rule of thumb, if you in general feel unsatisfied, unfulfilled, pessimistic, not hopeful about the future and all these things, it's always about you not using your inner talents in a true way. It's about you having closed off your inner child, in a way, the talents, talents you have. So that's ask yourself, do I feel all these negative things? Okay, what is it that I'm not giving allowing myself to do in a creative way. And if you do that just a little bit more, I will bet that you very quickly will feel that some of that negativity will actually wear off. It's your body. The body is telling us you are giving your attention and giving your life to things that are not aligned with your soul's path. Get back onto the track.
Wow, beautiful, Søren. Because we're almost at the end of the podcast, and I was wondering, how do you envision yourself in your future? What is your inner child saying for you?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, I envision myself really nourishing my inner artist, doing music, keep on acting, taking all that playfulness with me into the world of business. I am part of this organization called Lucia Care right now. Very exciting adventure. Taking that creativity and playfulness with me into the boardroom, into the management. I feel that my next 10 years, I'm 40 now, and I feel like the next 10 years is, for me, is very much about what you've invited me to do here. And I'm very grateful for that, to communicate and facilitate conversations and a philosophical, spiritual room for us to explore and experiment with what is the good life. How do we actually answer our heart's longings? And I want to do that on stage, in podcasts, on TV. I wanna be part of that conversation, because I feel that I have something to offer, and I have a lot to learn by engaging myself in that part of the conversation. Yeah.
Beautiful. I like that. I have a lot to give and I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
One last, if you would say, from your astrology, from your teachings as an astrologist,
Yes.
what's your last advice or your last insight that you want to share with the listener after this conversation?
Yeah. Well, we have a very interesting alignment between two planets, Uranus, Venus, and Saturn. Venus, quickly said, is about the ultimate individual freedom, the higher mind. And Saturn is about responsibility, structure, discernment. And why I say that is that to achieve ultimate freedom, we have to take ultimate responsibility. And the responsibility has to lie within our hearts. And response actually means to answer, to interact and go into dialogue with our heart's longings. Take responsibility for that. Make a structure in your life that makes it possible for you to answer that call, and you will experience new levels of individual freedom and individual creativity and originality and a mastermind. We are all here to be masters, and we are, but we have to discover it, and it starts by actually responding to our heart's longing. So I think that would be a way to see
Beautiful.
it.
Well, I'm really happy and I'm really grateful. I'm really happy that I invited you to the show. I knew it was going to be mind-blowing or heart-blowing or soul-blowing, whatever you call it. So I really appreciate and I really want to thank you, Søren, to be here, to share your insights, to share your wisdom with all of us, with all the listeners.
Yeah, and thank you, Stein. It's you are absolutely doing what we're talking about, shining your light into the world. And thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it very much, and I look forward to expand our friendship and get to know each other even more.
Absolutely. I had the idea of learning Danish this week. So
good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to say thank you to the listener, and I hope the listener was inspired by you and by our conversation. And please, if you want to leave us some notes or some feedback, where can they find you, Søren? You're on LinkedIn. That's the only thing.
I'm on LinkedIn, and you can find me. Just write my name on Instagram if you want to check it. Yeah, that could be an easy way to. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Søren.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to Studio Steen. If you want more inspiration, just go to my website studiosteen.com or go to the Spotify website, iTunes on inspirational leadership. You can also share this podcast with others who might benefit from listening to these inspirational talks. Thank you very much, great people.